Hi, hello, and welcome. March 29th, Tuesday, 11:09. 9 minutes behind, not too bad. Not too bad
at all.
Nope, everything running smooth, just getting ourselves wrapped up. I am Tom, this is Q. Thanks for joining us on the Tom and Q Show. Second season, episode 7. We got a lot to unpack today.
7.
Episode 7, significant number, synchronicity? I don't know.
No, we were playing cards one night as a family game night, and the card 7 kept coming up. So like every time we play cards, it's 7. Like there it is again, not 7.
7 it is.
So yeah, it's just it's a family thing. How many of those do we get? Like you and your family have those little moments that just sticks with you and the family where you just say, like we used to say, oh, that looks nice. So nice. So nice. And we would always echo one another. And there's so many little family things that we have that it's just in the family.
I'm sure we do. But just in general, like if you asked me about them, like I wouldn't know. But
like if 7 didn't get said, it was like
right. But the moment that something triggers,
yeah,
right, it pops up. So yeah, that's so. Speaking of, happy belated birthday to Audrey.
Audrey, big 15, man. Just yeah, I mean, the baby. Next year she's driving, and when you hear stuff like that, it's like
time flies.
Time marches on.
Time marches on. Time marches on.
Yeah, so we got a few of those today.
Yes,
Doug Retch, best friend, grew up with. He's his birthday's today, so happy birthday, Doug. Love you, buddy. And Paige is one of her teammates that
shares a birthday.
Yeah. Well, so happy birthday, Caroline Dean.
So we had a big day, in our family as well. So special shout out to Big Tom. Tom, my dad. Congratulations on your retirement. Awesome day for him. Awesome day for all of us because over the last 8 years or whatever, his schedule's been just crazy. Working a swing shift, sometimes it's first shifts, the next day it's second, third, so on and so forth. So it's really kind of thrown any type of, whether it's holidays or family get-togethers, out of whack. And like it's exciting, and we're all happy that that things can kind of settle down. It just so happens to also be his birthday.
Happy birthday!
So happy
Big
birthday!
Tom.
Congratulations on retirement. We're all proud of you. I'm looking forward to days of fishing, days of golf, and not have to worry about whether you're working or not. So,
Tom, son of Tom.
Son of Tom, of Vernier.
Of Vernier.
Yeah.
So happy birthday, Big Tom.
Yep. So you've had you remember it's like what's your porn name, right? You remember that
middle name and street name?
Yeah, right.
Tyrone Penwood.
So do we just change that to what is your last kingdom name?
Oh.
So I am Tom, son of Tom, and then use your street name of Vernier.
Yeah, I don't have the same. I'm Quentin, son of Bobby, of Groesbeck.
Of Groesbeck.
of Penwood.
Of Penwood. Someday we shall have mead and ale, and we will celebrate. And I will drive to Groesbeck to celebrate with Q of Bobby of Groesbeck. Yeah, that's it. So your last kingdom name. We'll call it your Viking name.
Viking name. I like that.
Because I've got through like 4 or 5 seasons right now of Vikings.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty. So it's crazy when you follow lineage of Ragnar's brother Rollo.
Yeah.
Like he's a legit guy. His history books have him in there, and he left Vikingism to go on and a bloodline with Queen Elizabeth. Like he is a significant influence and impact in all of Eastern Europe.
Wow. That's it. That's really interesting. And we've talked about this before. I love the historical significance of stuff that really doesn't seem all like it seems like it's more for entertainment as opposed to that historical significance of like, hey, this guy was real. Yes, see, there you go. Tommy, son of Tommy of the Valley Crossing. I like it. I think it's a new thing. I think it'll catch on.
I like it.
Where you live, plus...
I was born in Marietta, Georgia, so Q, son of Bob, Marietta.
The Duke of... Are you the Duke? The Duke of Marietta?
Yes.
Of Georgian? North Georgian, South
Northumbria.
Georgian. Yeah, right. Anyway,
North Marietta.
we digress. So it's been a crazy week, and we're gonna get into that. But we've decided that we're gonna break our show up into segments. We've had this segment before, and I'm gonna be honest. Like I was pretty, not that I was lazy about it. Got a little caught up in some other stuff. So like making the podcast was a day late. Making even like the marketing side of things, like sharing it. Like I was kind of like, oh man, I ain't got time for it. Yeah, it's like hit share.
Yeah.
Like so I really don't know what to expect. So let's take a look. Let's go deep dive into our data. We love data. I'm always curious too when you open a new tab online, like the headlines, like they just draw you in, like, and it's kind of like the supermarket tabloids. It seems like it's
Yes.
Guess what happened? Guess what happened to Pamela Anderson? Oh well, I gotta click on that. Oh, it takes you someplace completely different. All right, last week's episode on our podcast, which you can find on Spotify and Apple Music as well as Facebook, was titled "Spring is Near." It is near, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the first day of spring?
No, I think it's already here, but I think in comparison to the last 4 or 5 days,
It's supposed to be like almost 80 tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow's going to be in the 70s. So you walked in, it's windy and chilly and breezy out there, to tomorrow.
Last week when I left here, it was sleeting outside, a little cold. We were standing in the front yard. I was like, Tom, I got to go, man. I'm freezing.
Yeah.
I went back to my house. It was like 64 and sunny, and I'm standing out in my front yard like, are you kidding me? Like, we're in the same city.
Yeah.
My zip code is Cincinnati, and it's your Cincinnati. And I go from what felt like 40 to 63 and sunny, and I'm like, I could have been in a T-shirt.
It's like you're on two totally different planets sometimes.
Yeah,
when you're
it's
in
like this is the same city, not a different country.
All right.
So yeah,
So
weather done, out of the way.
podcast stats. Now we go to Q-Sugs with weather. 6% are on Facebook, 11% Spotify, 22% web browser. I don't know what that means, but I just like to say it anyway. I can tell you 44% of you were on it. 'Typing away, like, oh, this is cool. These guys are cool. They're good looking. Watch them. I can check them out. I can listen to them. He's got a real appeasing voice. I meant to do today was get my guitar out, but I didn't. So, anyway, 88% of our listeners, of our podcasters, come from the United States, which is good. USA. 11% come from Germany. Frankfurt, Germany. So our man Hans, you're still in the house. I did share that the Twitter follower.
Yep,
that
I did. I followed him. He's a fanatical Bengals fan.
I'm suspect on if maybe we've located him or not. I don't really know how to ask that, but hey, are you Hans? No, I'm not.
Do you happen to listen to the Tom and Q show back home in Cincinnati?
But you should. You should.
Yeah.
So Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Opryland.
Okay.
Maybe it was Dolly Parton.
Maybe.
Could have been. Hamilton, Ohio. Mason, Ohio. Yeah, Tri-State. Fairhope, Alabama. Alexa, play Sweet Home, Alabama.
There you go. My handy dandy map. I feel like Dora the Explorer.
Find out where it is.
Where is it? What is it?
Fairhope. One word.
Fairhope, Alabama. We are down in the Gulf Coast.
Okay. Is that the Floribama?
Yeah. So right where Florida ends in the Panhandle there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of pinch of Alabama right there, and Fairhope is right down in the Gulf.
So Gulf Shores.
Yep. You got Mobile.
It's Mobile.
is at the very top.
Yeah.
And then you got Fairhope.
It's a Niner.
Niners,
Yeah.
T. Finer.
You wanted to hear a Niner. There you go. We got you a Niner, right? So thank you all for downloading and just contributing and knowing that there's somebody out there listening to some of the unimportant or important stuff that we have. So leads us in our next direction. How was your weekend?
Busy. Lots going on. You know, at West Claremont Schools, we had our Howl at the Moon, the biggest fundraiser that they have of the year. Very well done. James Collins, the athletic director over there, he does a great job.
So what is, we talked about like the Corian Boosters, Monte Carlo. Like,
Yep.
What's Howl at the Moon?
It's same thing, similar thing. It's just their gala they also they meshed it up with the Hall of Fame presentation with past athletes, and it's kind of cool because Amelia and Glen Estee merged into West Claremont High School, so they kind of honor from past recipients from each side. So the Hall of Famers get up there, and then they got their blind auctions, and they got they're bidding for whatever their wheelbarrow of booze, wine. Buy season tickets, just auction raffles and all that stuff. Just your traditional gala type Monte Carlo evening of fun and drinks and sharing memories. They did honor the undefeated 1960 football team, which was kind of cool. A lot of those guys showed up and to see them, accept that award and that acknowledgement. I think they had. What was it? They announced in the 456 points scored and only gave up like 45 or something on the season.
Wow.
So it was a dominant football team. One of the guys made the comment that the only reason we gave up those 40 points is because late in games we put in our second string. so it was neat and coming from Coleraine to see some of the history of Amelia and Glen Estee and obviously West Claremont now. It's kind of cool to be a part of that and see some of the great athletes come back. And any school, any community is going to have its history.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to hear those guys come back and pay their respects to the people that helped them get to where they are. So that was Friday night. We had that. Saturday, Grace, she is competing in WGI, which is Winter Guard International. It's where the percussion ensemble. Mm-hmm. It's all an indoor winter circuit. So we went up to Dayton, which is a regional, and if they qualify, then they go to nationals, which is also up in Dayton. So they did qualify. They finished third. Good performance. Again, it's something that we're not entirely cultured in, is that arena, because we're just sports guys. And as a
Do you
parent,
sit there and
that's when they go on, because they have a time limit to when they get the gym floor set up, and then they have a time limit to get off. So everything is go, 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 go. So it's neat to watch the bands come on, get the floor set for their routine, do their routine, and then just get it broken down.
Because
they put down giant tarps on the floor a lot of times.
Production and process.
Yeah, and that's part of it. And I'm watching it, and just the way my brain works is, and it's the last 2 minutes of a football game, or in a basketball game, 30 seconds, or in a baseball game. You were talking about, or I was talking to Paige's boyfriend about bases loaded pickles. Yeah. So you have to practice the most random things, and it's part of their routine is, okay, let's get everything set, let's break it down, because we got a time limit to get out of here. And it's, how do we fold up the mat? How do we do this? So that's part of their criteria, is how quick they get on and off the floor, on top of performing the music, which it's like any craft that you refine, you're going to get better at. So it was neat to watch that. And there's different circuits. So you have your percussion guard. So for Graces, they have their marimbas, xylophones, and there is odd drum, but they have no one behind them marching for like a bass drum or like you would think of a marching band style. But then you also have those to where the percussion guard comes in, so you'll have a whole percussion assembly to where they would do that exact thing. There is no color guard. There's no twirlings of the flag. That's a complete separate event. So I'm kind of rough around the edges, but again, getting cultured in that world.
Yeah.
It was neat to sit and watch at that level because last year was COVID, so she's coming through the pipeline of competing in these arenas, and it was hit or miss, and compete. And they're very competitive, man. Regionally, they are very, very good. They're going to stack up well in the national competition next week. It's actually international next week, so there'll be competitors from all over the world coming into Wright State. When is that? It's in later in April. I can't remember exactly when. So we did that back and forth up to Kettering Fairmont. Saturday was also Audrey's birthday, so we went up, watched Grace, came back, went down to Christian Moorline. That's kind of our family spot to go, right on the river. Walked around the city, took some pictures. Well, not the city, just kind of the river. It was a little too cold. Got cities at the backdrop, pictures with the backdrop, and it's just something we do all the time with the girl's birthday. We like the setting, and we love Cincinnati. And
so what did you get at Moorline?
Man, I had a busy eating day, so I just got their what was a salad, chopped apple something salad. Audrey got the rotisserie chicken, which is it's delicious and it's massive.
Huge.
I guess when you're 15, you're a big girl and you can get a massive meal. Her friend came with us and is, what are you getting? She was like, just pretzels and cheese. And I'm like, oh no, it's just family rule. You got to try everything.
Yeah.
She was like,
no.
So Audrey's getting Brussels sprouts and she's throwing out Brussels sprouts and it's like, and her friend is Aubrey, so it's Aubrey and Audrey. So it's Aubrey, got to try Brussels sprouts. So, we had fun with that. And then Sunday we went right back up to Dayton to watch. So they do the same routine, and it's the way Grace explained it. They do the average of scores. So Saturday. So we went back up to Dayton Sunday to watch that, and Paige was playing. Go.
It's easy to get cultured.
Sunday evening, Audrey also had for synchronized swimming, they have their fundraiser of the year, and it's where they just raise money and swim as many laps as they can and do all that. They used to do sponsorship for how many laps the kid could swim, but if you've ever seen a synchronized swimmer, and their conditioning it's insane. It's ridiculous. So it's not fair.
So they just
because those girls are like, we could swim all
like
day.
The Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, it's like $1 a lap. Oh my goodness. I can swim for like 2 hours.
Right.
So how many laps can we get in? So they quit doing that, and then it's just to help the Cincinnati Synchro Gators, which is an incredible organization, which I could go on and on about. Make money to do their national circuit, because it was going to California this year, going down to Florida this year. They went up to Wisconsin, so they've got a busy, demanding life and competing, and they usually stack up. They pretty much dominate the region in this part of the side of the country, really, to be honest with you. And California is kind of the hotbed, so it's when they fly out there and see some real competition in the national tournaments. So, yeah, so it went from school fundraiser Friday night with a date night with my beautiful wife to all back and forth from Dayton to birthday parties to downtown to it was nonstop, man. It was go time. And I woke up yesterday and it was just, I'm not generally a cranky guy. I usually can manage that emotion pretty well at this age of my life anyway. I haven't always been that skilled at that. Jessica was talking to me yesterday. I was like, I'm just moody today. It's just one of those days. I have. I don't know if it was just the busyness of the weekend. I didn't really get caught up with mentally, and I lost 3 houses again this weekend, which we're going to get into.
We talked about.
And at 50 grand over, lost it, and it's just like, so some of that's on my mind. I'm looking at a computer all day. I'm trying to find houses, so I've got different strategies, out of the box thinking, trying to find houses for these buyers, and it was just like, I kind of snapped at her, and it was like, Jess, sorry. She's like, it's all good. You don't have them often, and it is what it is. And so I go to softball practice with the girls.
Did she say, it's fine? It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's just going fine. So no, I went to softball practice and came back, and so I'm trying to cut back on gluten, which I'm under 200 pounds, by the way.
Nice.
She made these like gluten-free cinnamon muffins, just to make me have a better day.
You were probably way under 200 pounds and then had the muffins.
Yes. So I felt like a 12-year-old kid, like, thanks, Mommy.
Yeah.
You're having a bad day.
It's like, have you ever
You want to
heard
put a Band-Aid on it? So, yeah, it was...
like ice cream is like that. Like, you ever seen somebody like upset or angry while they're eating an ice cream cone?
Never.
No, you're not. It's like, no, it's good. It's good. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Right?
Everything's fine.
It's fine.
I got a coffee mug that says that on it.
That's the
It's
worst.
fine. Everything's fine. I'm fine.
No, you're not. Been around a while. You're not fine. Just let me know I'm fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, remember this in 15 minutes when you come back to me and tell me what was wrong. I'm gonna say no.
You're fine.
You're fine. You're fine.
So how was your weekend? It looks like you guys had a lot of fun.
It was interesting. It was a lot of fun. We thought it was going to be the first weekend of our basic busy season,
Right.
Between high school baseball and Austin's baseball and flag football, and then we're camping and Blake's soccer, and pretty much everything got canceled because of the weather. It was so cold.
Right.
We were talking about it before. We go set up on Thursday, and I'm in a t-shirt and jeans. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And then so
It's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
we met Nicole. Like Carson and I, Austin wanted to stay here. He had we may have even talked about this before. So he's got braces, right? And it seems like every time he has these planned orthodontist appointments, like they're all set up, they're planned.
Right.
And it's like every time he has these appointments, which are like once a month, once every 6 eye screen.
Just live video interrupted, so I don't know if it's like in and out.
Yeah, and I don't know how to fix that. I'm not savvy enough. Either way. So anyway, we met her. She was just out at Whitten Woods. Carson and I left, and we met her at.
So yeah, Tommy Watkins is.
That's what I was hitting at there. We met her at one of my favorite places, at least for like chicken wings or whatever. The Buffalo Wings and Rings that is right off of Whitten Road.
Mm-hmm.
Like as you're going Ronald Reagan cross county.
Yeah.
It's right there. I wish it was bigger. It is
small,
it's
like
super
back
small.
around underneath everything. Yeah.
We've never had any issues getting in there, but like in comparison to other like wing places,
The one close to our house is massive.
but the actual food itself, like, and I'm not a huge chicken wing guy, but like theirs really good. They got this hot garlic sauce.
Yeah.
It's the best spicy garlic that I've had. And my affiliation and affinity for Wild Mike's. Like Wild Mike's has the best wings, but that sauce right there was really good. Anyway, so we met them out there on Thursday, but Austin was all bent out of shape because anytime he has those orthodontist appointments, like they really bother like his mouth. Like it just hurts for a couple of days. So he ended up staying home. Then Friday didn't have a whole lot going on Friday, and was like, oh well, I was waiting for everybody to get off of school, and I drive them out to go camping. So Friday the wind picks up. I went down to the hardware store here and picked up pretty much half a truck full of firewood, knowing that Saturday we had no games, no nothing, so it's gonna be a lot of time like around the fire. And so, okay, fine, it's fine. I keep saying fine every time. That should be the word.
The word of the day. Pee Wee Herman had that, didn't he? On Pee Wee's Playhouse.
So we got pizza, which we talked about this. We did not do Donato's. We actually did Papa John's.
Okay. Man, I've been craving Papa John's.
We don't have one around here either.
I drive by one to take Audrey to swim, and I see it, and it was like the subliminal messaging, right? I'm like, man, that looks good. And I drive by it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I was craving that. And I drove by to take her to swim practice last night, and I'm like, I'm getting Papa John's today. She was like, it doesn't sound good. I'm like, I don't care what sounds good to you.
Papa John's usually never sounds good to me either. But it's been so long since I had it.
Yes,
it was actually really good.
I'm getting Papa John's today. I'm done playing around. It's happening. It's going down.
So Friday night we did that, and it's like, since there's nothing, I had for Christmas I had gotten this you've seen the Blackstone grills.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not a Blackstone. It's a little bit smaller than that. It folds up too. So like I took it with me, knowing that we didn't have anything. So I was like, hey, let's make a big breakfast, whatever. Yeah. So I'm out there.
Saw the video.
Chopping things up. I'm making. What do you want? An omelet?
Thought we were at a hibachi grill.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Like, and it was. I got done with making the food, and there was like a couple little crumbs there, or whatever. And my one buddy, I just looked at him. I said, "Hey, catch!" And I took it, like out of nowhere. Like I've never flipped food like this before ever. I was like,
right.
And he like leans over the chair. Like trying to catch it, so that was fun. But it was really, really cold, and my ear doesn't react real well to cold.
Yeah.
So like there was a lot of huddling up next to the fire, and then we left, and I actually texted you about this, and I wrote it down here because I forgot. We left and went to Austin had flag football over here at River's Edge, so it's a big, huge complex with 3 fields.
Yep.
Soccer fields, flag football, whatever. And like we're done, so we're kind of just hanging around, having a couple beers, talking, and we noticed these people like setting up for something, and we're like, "What is going on here?" And like she went down and asked, it was like private event. Mm-hmm. Well, the kids are down in the other field, like they're playing football, hanging out, and just BSing with themselves. And they asked them, like, "Oh, we've got a pro wrestling event here tonight." And
yeah, you sent me the picture. And I'm setting up the stage.
And I'm sitting there.
Or the ring.
Yeah, and I'm watching them like you were talking. That's what made me think about when you were talking about the process of like Audrey's competitions of getting on and getting off.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting there and we're watching like all these big dudes come in, and like they're all like it's a small little indie promotion. So like everybody, by the looks of things, they probably didn't make a whole lot of money, but they're all like, there's a truck that's basically got a trailer that's got everything. They're carrying, everybody that's involved is carrying it in by hand. They got a DJ booth. Like I'm assuming that's setting up the ring, and just watching that whole thing just kind of take place as so we're watching that. I'm like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how we used to do it on trampoline. Like,
yes.
I really want to know what a real ring feels like. Like, I didn't do this, but I wanted to go down there. If we left before they got it set up because we wanted to get back to the campground, and like I'm like, I just want to ask one of them to clothesline me. Does that sound so terrible? Like I'm like, I will go. I just want to know not what the pain of the clothesline feels like. I just want to know what it feels like to fall back on a mat and be like, whew.
Yeah, we were kind of rabbit hole, right? We haven't said that in a while, have we? Watching a lot of the wrestling documentaries and stuff, and it's when those guys get in the ring, some of the stuff they were talking about is, do I trust him? So a thing like a clothesline is to when you're in the air and you're at the mercy of them protecting you and bringing you in the right way. It's to trust someone. So again, just clothesline me. What does it feel like? How do you properly land? Like, what's the whole thing? Just to be clothesline. What's the technique of one of your basic moves? Is boom, like, oh, just to land right, to do it all right, to feel your arm, because you got to hit hard enough to make it real enough, but at the same time you got to. So I would wonder to get suplex to all of that stuff, man. All of it. Let's just do it. Let's go all in.
What's funny is, like, I'm trying to catch up here on some of these analytic things. I don't know what they mean, but let's see if I can change that.
I did not know this song was this long.
Oh, it's long, but it was just really. It was like just kind of cool, like watching them set up and like everything that was kind of going on around. Let's just say 3 hours. We took all the kids.
Right.
Why are we getting texts to come back? Like, if it's me and she takes the kids, like, hey, I ain't checking on you. Yeah, I ain't not checking on you. Like, hey, we are here. We've got margaritas. We got fire. We got party. We are good to go. It's like, oh, man, well, I guess we got to get back to him. So we left. We go back to him, and it got drastically colder. It didn't stop us. We still stayed out there by the fire. We were just a lot closer. So, like, everything just the next day just reeked of fire.
Yeah.
Right? And the temperature dropped. And one of my buddies at the flag football game, who he wasn't camping with us this weekend, but he does and has in the past, he's like, man, we were talking about possibly adding another day because it was going to be so cold. And when you're talking about like campers, RVs, whatever, they've got water and stuff in them. So the first time you go, which this was our first time, we basically de-winterized. So like you emptied out like all the antifreeze and everything in there, just
right.
like a house, right?
Yep.
And so once you've kind of started that process of de-winterization, it's like you don't want to go back and go through the time and the hassle to do that again, and you don't want to pay somebody however much it takes for them to do it again, knowing that you're going to go again in a couple weeks. So we're like, well, let's book Sunday night, and we'll come back and pick it up on Monday. Good idea. Everything, we had the problems I was telling you about. Everything seemed to be working until sometime, however, in the middle of the night. And I've been there before where, like, the hose is frozen on the outside and you just can't get water. Right, until that melts. And, like, our furnace shut down. Sometime in the middle of the night. I'm sleeping, I'm not wearing socks, so, like, I get up in the morning. When you get my age, you got to get up in the middle of the night to pee. So, yes. Like, I get up and I touch stuff. I'm like, I'm cold. Like, man, I thought maybe we were out of gas. We had 2 big propane tanks there, and, like, I step on the floor, and the floor is freezing cold. And I'm like, man, it's really cold. So, whatever, go do my business, and then I check the water. Like, the water was coming out. I let it run a while because it was super slow. And then it picked up to kind of almost normal. I was like, okay, it should be good. Left it on drip just to kind of keep things moving and everything. And then finally got up, 7:30, like still freezing in there. Freezing. Right. And again, when you get my age, you have to pee right away when you get up. So I go pee, go to turn the water on, no water. I'm like, okay. Like, all right, let's go check the gas. Go check the gas. The one kind of seemed light. The other one seemed really heavy. I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, wonder why that wouldn't kick on. So like, we had to be someplace at 11. We were leaving that anyway, so we left it. We went back, did everything that we needed to do, and then I was like, I'm gonna go back and check that furnace out. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I've got 2 new gas. Like, the one was full. The person that was filling, he's like, this is full. You don't need any. Mm-hmm. The other one wasn't even empty, so it wasn't that. So I took him back. I'm like, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to hook him up and try it again. So that leads me to my unsung hero.
All right.
Okay. And I
got an unsung hero, too.
Okay.
I didn't, but go ahead.
So this is, growing up, like I wasn't a mechanic. Like I wasn't really a problem solver per se in terms of like if something's broke, it was like, Dad, this is broke. Similar to what my kids do now, like Dad, this is broke. No, it's not. And he was really good at doing. I mean, he put a Nintendo back together. It was like
Sure.
really good at that stuff. Cars, he knew what he was talking about. Is that age, kind of growing up, those people that grew up kind of
You had to fix it yourself.
1980,
Yeah.
you knew how to fix it yourself. And so nowadays, which I think is awesome, you can Google or YouTube anything.
Yes.
And somebody has already been through
There's nothing new under the sun.
that problem. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I get there and I text my one buddy who lives over there. I said, hey, I'm heading back to the camper to check this furnace thing out. And he's like, oh, let me. Here's. Right?
That is one of my. If I look at something long enough, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's like, and so like I'm sitting there and like before he had got there, I had Googled it and I'm like I had come to like some conclusion, but the conclusion was like you had to pull the whole furnace out. And of course, in these things, much like cars nowadays, they don't make anything easy for.
No, on purpose.
Yes.
We had to get a headlight for Jessica's car, and they were like 60-something bucks, and I was like, huh? So I'm like, absolutely not. So I go to Advanced Auto, buy a light bulb. It's like, I don't know, 11 bucks. I come back, and I'm like,
Now you see.
So I've got wait, so I can't reach here. I can't reach there.
Yep.
I got to take this. I got to move. I've got to disassemble this whole section
You got to take the motor out to change
for
the
a headlight.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, are you kidding me right now? So, yeah.
I've been through that guy. That exact same scenario on an older truck I had.
It kind of hurt my pride because I've changed light bulbs in many a cars. And in my car, it's a little challenging to get to. And as Jessica would say, I've got dainty hands, so I can get my hand in there. And but somebody that with big massive hands, they would probably have a little problem changing the bulb in my car. But I can get to it. So I'm like, batting 1,000 on changing light bulbs.
So
Until her car.
I have had that exact same scenario, except this time it was actually more expensive than the $70. Like it was like $150, and I looked at him like, "What are you crazy?"
Yeah.
And then I went back and Googled the thing, and to Google it, it's like I'm like looking at this guy, and I'm like trying to do it. It was cold, so I put it in the garage, and I'm sitting there in the garage. Next thing you know, I'm basically inside the hood, like underneath, like I'm climbed up there just because, like, I'm 5'8", I don't have long arms, like I'm reaching through there, and finally I got it. Like 2 hours later, I'm like, man, no wonder it was $150. It may have been easier for me just to pay the $150 and let them deal with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Blake, let me see your little arm.
Yeah. So I YouTubed it before we got there, and I had come to a couple of conclusions, and I'm like, man, I really don't want to pull this thing out. One, I don't know what's behind there because it's not easy. Like if they just
Take pictures.
if there was an
Put it all back
access
together.
panel on the outside of the camper, it would have been very easy. The hardest part was like getting it out, and of course they don't use your standard Phillips head screw or even a flathead screw.
I got like the star or
Square, and I'm like, I had the star, but like I didn't bring a drill or anything. And then of course like I don't the stupid. It's just a little inch-long attachment square bit.
Yep.
And I've got one of those like travel screwdrivers.
Right. Like a first aid kit.
Yeah, exactly. It was a piece of crap, and I'm straining my forearm trying to turn these screws and everything out. And finally, like him and I both like, let's check this, right? And he's on the phone with his brother, who's way more mechanical than either him or I. And like we finally like. There's 4 air ducts in there. My hands are cut from sheet metal back in there, and like it's not easy to get to. There's a thing called the sail switch. I'm like, well, what's this look like? We don't know what it is. We're like looking for a diagram. I took a couple screws out of this blower motor in there. I'm like, looked at it, I was like, oh, this looks like it, right? Like, kind of blew on it a little bit, like the old Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Like blew on it a little bit, maybe took a little dust off of it. put it back in, reconnected everything, did what the guy said to get it back to working again. And then all of a sudden it was like, and it lit up, and it was blowing hot air. And I'm like, high five. We just did it. I don't know how we did it, but we just did it. Like, we didn't do anything special but take it all apart and basically put it back together.
Yeah, Control Alt Delete.
My unsung hero are those people, twofold, that are confident enough to do the unimaginable on YouTube.
Yeah.
Put it out there for the rest of the world.
That's a good one.
To see. And so that we can follow those directions on my specific, not just on my specific unit.
Yes.
Like, I need help with a 2015 Chevy Silverado brake pad.
Yes.
Oh, let me help you. Like, I've done that before. Like, even just, hey, got a flat tire. I need help on a 2000, not changing the tire. I'm mechanical enough to change a tire. It's hard enough. It's too damn hard to get the spare tire to drop down. So then you have to Google.
Jessica's car's brutal.
How to do that. So how do you do that? I go, okay, well, to be confident enough to put it out there.
I love it.
On the flip side of that, to be confident enough, because you know damn well they did not, the first time that they did it, they did the exact same thing that we did.
Take two.
Yes. And no, what they did was they did it by following somebody else.
Yeah.
And then they went back and said, you know what? Let's take this all apart.
You're so bold. Do it live.
Yeah, let's tell this story again via YouTube so we can help somebody else. So that guy is my unsung hero. You that are confident enough and have enough time to put your problems, which then in turn become our problems, onto YouTube so that we can fix them together.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So, yes. And I hate to critique a hero, because they are heroes, to put that out there and take the time to the thought of, hey, somebody's going to have this 2003 Honda Pilot that needs to replace
play Real American Hero while we're on.
that needs to replace this taillight, right? And here's how you do it. Like, that guy is out there. Like, I guarantee if you look that up, it'll be out there. Taillight for a 2003 Honda. And if you have this, a lot of times this and a lot of times that. So here, as I was out here today, and it's like, guys, thank you so much. You are a hero. But get to the point of what the video needs to be. Some of these are 30-second videos that are 8-minute videos.
Yep.
So they are heroes, though. Thanks for the time that you guys put in to make our lives easier as we navigate our way through life and have to figure some of those things out. It's a little Hulk Hogan right here. We got
A Real American Hero.
Yes, we're wrestling today.
A lot of wrestling.
My unsung hero, and I don't know if they're unsung, but I think they are underappreciated enough. But from Friday night and in this weekend, the events that put on, like event coordinators, I don't know that they get, they're just, you go to an event and you enjoy it and you go home and it's like, that was a great event. It took someone's time and effort to really put into that event. And the gala we went to, man, it was so well ran, so smooth. And it's, and our athletic director complimented and praised them enough, thank these guys for putting this on, taking the time out of their life. And that's the other thing with most event coordinators is especially an event like that, there's no money in it. It's just, hey, it's boosters doing this on the side, and it's the parents that put in the time on the side to help the experience for everyone else go. So selflessness of event coordinators for those types of things is, I tip my hat to them.
You're right, and we've done, and I've helped with events like that, and so forth so much that I'm hitting too many buttons here. Looking to try to fix this stream somewhere or the other, but no, it's true. You leave the event as somebody, whether you've helped out or not, you leave the event and it's like man, like that was a lot of fun, you know, and there's something to that. And you're right, they don't get enough attention.
Right.
So I'm coming back to trying to learn what the heck. There we go. Got it. All right. If I'm learning a little bit, like the frame rate, like we just dropped below again. But I don't know how to. I think that's what's slowing it down, but I don't know what that is. If it's my internet connection, which if you asked any of my kids, they would say, "Oh, our internet sucks." Oh. It says learn more, but yeah, apparently that's a problem today.
Need a modem down here underneath, close enough to
Something. I mean, it says we have full signal.
get a Cat 5 and plug it in.
Yeah, I mean that would be great. But
Yeah.
we'd have to run a freaking 100-foot Cat 5 to get down here.
Drill through.
So
Let's make it happen. YouTube it. It's out there.
yeah, YouTube it. Exactly. Unsung heroes. So we've done a
Run
lot.
Cat 5 in Tom Tolby's house.
What's
What was in my house?
Already done that? So we're talking a lot of wrestling, and this wasn't really on the dock today, but WrestleMania is this weekend.
Really?
WrestleMania is this weekend. It's 2
no.
nights. That's my guilty pleasure in life, right?
Yes.
It's the male soap opera that I still watch, and
On a Tuesday night is WrestleMania?
no,
Or
it's
this weekend. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Saturday
This weekend.
and Sunday. It's now a 2-night event.
Doug Rett's birthday, 10th birthday. At a party at his house, we watched WrestleMania. It's when Hulk
fun was
Hogan
that growing
body
up?
slammed Andre the Giant. So that's
WrestleMania
very,
3.
Yep, very, very memorable.
The Pontiac
WrestleMania.
Silverdome.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the first WrestleMania I ever watched. My grandpa, he was like me. He was a big wrestling fan, and like I would come over and he'd have NWA, which was the original WCW.
Yep.
And it would be like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes and Sting. He'd have that on, and
They were bold, man. They did the cage matches. They did
Yeah.
more cage matches. They
Yeah.
did scaffolding matches. They
Yeah.
did a lot of stuff, man.
and that was. Then you had like you could only find like WWF, WWE. It was only on like
Saturday mornings at 10.
Saturday mornings at 10, Sunday at 11, and then occasionally they did Saturday night's main event.
Yeah.
And that was always like, oh, it was on Channel 5. It was like, you're watching it. It was cool. It was like their big thing before pay-per-views. And then all of a sudden, the WrestleMania started. And it was like, boom. And I was like, oh, man, I really want to watch WrestleMania. But it was like $50. I'm like,
Yeah.
And my parents were like, no, we're not getting WrestleMania. WrestleMania 3, my grandpa got it. And he put it on the VHS for me. And I had watched that, gosh, over and over and over again. And you wonder, like, I don't know how if your girls were like this, but like my kids can watch like the same movie over and over and over. Can you turn this on? Can you turn this on? And it's the same movie.
Yeah.
They know how it ends, and they just want to watch it over and over and over again.
Yes.
I was that way with the VHS. It was like go through like watch 3-hour-long show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. Maybe that's where it kind of started, but like I still watch it, like not as frequent or religious.
Wasn't
as
that
I was.
the Ricky Steamboat and
Macho Man?
Macho Man match? That was the greatest wrestling match of all time.
Yeah. Yep. Listed as the greatest wrestling match of all time. And what's amazing is I can probably in my head I can probably name the majority of that card. My dad growing up, he had taken me and my brother.
They came in on their carts, which was like the ropes
ring,
around them.
yeah.
And they came in on the little ring.
Yeah. And like he had taken us to a couple of live events, where obviously they weren't on TV or anything like
nostalgia
that.
of this moment, man.
Yeah.
Nostalgic, that's a word.
And
It's
like,
awesome.
It was so awesome. It was so much fun. So you got to see, like I remember I got to see Hulk Hogan a couple of times, the Junkyard Dog, like all these different dudes. And then as we got older, and then as we were hanging out, like we went to a couple of them, the live events, like went back as it got bigger.
Yeah.
And the ones for me that were always like I have to find a way to watch them are like WrestleMania, and the Royal Rumble is just fun.
Yep.
It's just fun because like you don't know what's gonna happen regardless of any stories. Like it brings back a lot of nostalgia because next thing you know, somebody you watched 10 years ago is coming out, and like people still to this day clamor for like the days that we had where it was like, hey, you had Sting, Ric Flair, the NWO, you had
Road Warriors.
the Road Warriors, you had
Ole
Austin,
Anderson,
you had
Arn
Austin,
Anderson.
The Rock, you had Triple H, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker,
Barry
all these,
Windham, Lex
all these
Luger.
guys, right?
I go on and on.
And so, as I'm watching, like WrestleMania is back, or is this weekend, and you played. It's funny because you played Stone Cold is apparently going to be at WrestleMania doing something. Wrestling, I don't know, but
Do you remember Nikita Koloff?
yeah.
He's from like Wisconsin.
Yeah, the gimmicks were amazing.
Yes.
And like if you watch his wrestling shows, they talk about that a lot too. Like like the Undertaker gimmick. Like how in the world did that last for so long? Like
Yes.
because eventually it turned to like where they really didn't have like Brutus the Barber Beefcake was not a real barber, right? There were so many people like
Jake the Snake was a real snake.
was a real snake. Did you ever see the one where bit Macho Man Randy Savage?
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go on about wrestling over and over and over again, and I will probably at some point watch WrestleMania. So next week's show, I will cover my thoughts on
WrestleMania.
I don't even know
Stay
what
tuned.
WrestleMania it is, but I know the first one that I watched was WrestleMania 3.
It's got to be like WrestleMania. Oh my goodness, 30.
It's more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Do they do it twice a year then?
Right, let's find out.
Because WrestleMania 3 was Doug Retch's 10th birthday, so just doing the math.
Alexa, what WrestleMania is it?
Here's something I found on the web. According to Decider.com, on both Saturday and Sunday night, WrestleMania begins at 7 p.m.
What is WrestleMania called this week? Alexa, what is WrestleMania called this week?
Here's what I found from the web. Tonight's WWE SmackDown is the final episode of the road to WrestleMania 38 on Fox.
38.
Week's Go Home show.
Interesting. Alexa, stop.
WrestleMania 38.
38.
That's
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Don't talk back to me.
Bye. Fine. I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm fine. So that'll be going on.
38.
So
Doug, you're getting old, man.
happy birthday. So we talked about unsung heroes. Just to give a little update, last week we talked about how some soul I was generous enough to donate to them my credit card information, and they felt obligated to use it
Thanks, Tom. Such a
on
nice
like
guy.
20 different transactions, which you can imagine that trying to recoup that money and trying to get that back isn't very fun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very manual. I had to fill out this paperwork with each individual merchant, each individual cost, the date, everything, and then take it into Kemba. So it is now in Kemba's hands to basically get my money back.
Right.
So the process itself, it was okay. We'll see how it goes. I'll provide updates, but be careful when purchasing, not just purchasing online, just, man, where somebody, I can because,
Yeah.
but like it's amazing to me if that happened to me and they got, I don't know, $1,000, $1,500 out of me. Like, good grief, man. Like, get your life together. Freaking, that's the worst part. Like, as things change and technology hits, it's like things become easier, but really do they? Because I even had the thought, like, man, I'm done with this. Like, I'm just going to start using cash. I'm like, crap, I can't just use cash.
Yeah. China, you can't.
Yeah.
It's not an option. Like everything, like their social media, it's all through here. So like Facebook, everything would be linked together. So if you're at a produce stand, you see like the movies where they got like fish lined up, and you just go like the little swap meets or whatever, and they got their QR codes.
$35 to go swap meet.
They got their QR codes, and it's like if I want an apple, I scan it, bloop bloop, comes off. I get my apple, and that's just how you purchase everything. It's all done here. So they don't, there is no exchanging of cash over in China anymore, and we will get there as a country.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because that going back to our Facebook squealer, the leaker out there. I forget what their terminology is. Whistleblower.
Yeah.
So in China, when you scan your phone, that goes into your algorithms, and it knows like what you eat. It knows your habits. So now you start getting.
It's not just in China. We have that
Well,
here.
I know it's here, but it's on a whole nother level because how here you can just go pay for cash. That doesn't go into anything.
Yeah.
Nobody knows it's a cash transaction. you can't get away from.
It's insane.
It's
how many times do you go and especially with NFL free agency and everything? I've been on Twitter a lot because the Bengals have done a lot, so I'm always constantly refreshing.
Yeah.
I get a little rumor. I'm like, refresh. Did it change? You know, and you'll be sitting there having a conversation like we are right now, and your phone not even really be a part of anything.
Right.
And we'll talk about taking a Carnival cruise vacation, and he'll text me tonight, and he'll go, man, it's amazing. I was on Facebook and I saw all these ads for cruise lines. It's happened to me. Or where did you eat last night? All of a sudden you're getting ads and coupons for that particular place.
So, no kidding. We did talk about credit cards.
Mm-hmm.
My aunt updated her profile picture. The very next one, American Express. I have not applied for a credit card myself in a long, long, long time. So, yeah, interesting.
I told you, it's so that algorithm, it's already there.
It's there. Could you imagine going to real time of a transaction of, and they have their credit score of like your social credit score they have going on over there. So, and that, it's all linked together. Like your routine of who you are as a human, it's all through
right
your.
There.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I can't. So for those that free country, free this, free that, yeah, it's kind of not a real thing.
Yeah,
pretty much monitored and looked at. Just be a good person. Do good, be good.
Do good, be good.
I
right?
haven't said that in a while, and I used to tell the girls all the time, and it's kind of worn off, but it's still a signature in the family, going back to those cliche family.
Yeah. Excited today for multiple reasons. Obviously, we stated Dad's retirement. That's exciting. Dad's birthday, exciting. But on another front, so my oldest, he's 17, is kind of.
Nicole said keeps pausing too.
Yeah, I see it. There's not much I can do about it. We apologize. Hopefully, the regular video and the podcast, I'm thinking it's going to be okay because you're picking it up just fine. It's recorded, so. If we miss anything, check out the podcast. Maybe that. Hey, you know what? We did this on purpose. So now
Yes.
Just like the algorithm, we're gonna drive you to the podcast.
Just like Will Smith smacked Chris Rock on purpose.
On purpose
to get attention.
Wait a second! Don't jump the shark. Don't jump the shark. So today,
Interrupted.
we got a text message last night after Colerain's first varsity game, which was a good game, well pitched, well played. They just happened to lose 3-2.
That was a good game.
It was cold. 9 innings, 3-2 in 9 innings. It was it was exciting.
Against who?
Huh?
Who'd you play?
Sycamore.
Okay.
So it was a league game.
Good competition.
They had a pitcher out there that I don't mean to knock him. I didn't think his stuff was all that great, but I think he got by with a lot of heart.
Yep.
Kind of reminded me of a friend of ours that just seemed to be kind of always in the right place, right time. Like
Yep.
it was his hustle and his heart and was really impressive. I think he ended up throwing 8 of the 9 innings.
Wow.
Yeah, he went deep. I mean, our pitcher I think went 6, and then the relief pitcher went 3. So it was a good game. It was an enjoyable. If the weather, if it was 70, it would have been great.
This is so much fun.
It's one of those things towards the end. I'm sure you've been there too. When you're not really involved. You're watching it, and you're like, really would hurt my feelings if the other team scored and we didn't at this point. Or it kind of felt like
so
that.
if we win, we got to play another game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can somebody just score? Because it's getting cold. The sun's going down. I'm in the shade. I'm like, no, I want to win. I want it to be us that scores.
Yeah, and then you lose, and it's like, that sucks, but cool.
So they're going through it, and Carson's had a pretty good a pretty good camp so far. Being a junior, that he kind of backup first baseman / utility guy, but his main focus probably is pitching, whether it's start or whatever. And so like they got 5 games this week. They've got yesterday and then through Friday. And so I'm sitting there, and Nicole had a board meeting, so she left, and like I'm cold, and like the other kids are coming up, like, hey, do you got $1? Can I get it? I'm like, no, like I'm cold. Like the game's almost over. Somebody's gonna score here, like, or the refs or the refs. The umpire's gonna be like, you know what, I've had enough.
Yeah, I'm done.
And like they threw 2 pitchers, and then all of a sudden, like I hear like Talby get loose, and I'm like, great, he's going to the bullpen. It's like the 9th inning. It's like if we tie it, if we go on, it's your game. I'm like, part of me is like, okay, that's cool. That's a cool spot to be in. The other part of me is like, well, I don't want him to go out there to pitch because that means they tied it, and that means we got to stay for another inning. And then I want him to continue to do well. I'm like, is it gonna work? And then plus on top of that, he's probably, if he goes in and pitches today, part, and then a nice double. Got that run in, and they kind of left the base. Tough game. You only score 2 runs, you're not gonna win.
It's tough to do, yeah.
But a good game nonetheless. So anyway, today they play CHCA, which is the defending Division III state championships. We got a text last night. Carson did. As he kind of comes home, and it's like, I can hear him up there, like, yeah, like, yes. He's pumped.
Yeah.
He got the text. He's like,
You're starting
tomorrow against the Division III state champ. So he's like, I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
But I've coached him for so long, so like I gotta get I'm like making sure like I gotta get up before he gets up. I gotta be there because he, like we talked about last week, like he gets up at 7, he's out the door at 7:15. I'm like, crap, I gotta be done with everything I need to do because I gotta give him this spiel. He needs to know what this is about, what's about to happen. Like, and how, like, I need, and it's like one of those things that's I never, this is the one thing that, like I grew up around the game. I played the game at a high level, played with a lot of people that played at a higher level than me, but I'm a soaker, right? Like, I live it. I can listen to certain things, and I can soak stuff up and whatever, and, like, you want, and I think you're probably this way, too, you want to know what's going through their head in certain situations where you have absolutely zero control over it whatsoever. And like, I try to.
So funny because I can relate.
So
I think most dads that their kids getting ready to go out into those situations, whether it's on the field of play or it's just your first job interview or whatever it is in life, the first date, just all that stuff. It's like, oh man, like, what are you thinking? This happens? You just, I don't know. It's good, man. It comes from a good place. It's kind of cool.
And so I watched him play JV last year, and he had a good year for JV.
The complete opposite of Goldberg's.
Idiot. Yes. And like you get so nervous for your kids when they're out there. I go back to, like, I've said this to you and said it online before. Like, one, my time's over, right? Like, there's no point in me getting nervous for you because I have had bigger at bats than this.
Yep.
Right. And if you continue to do this, you'll have bigger moments, bigger at bats than this.
Yes.
Very moment right here. But being at his first varsity start, you're like, I want you to kill it. Like, you want that moment. Like, hey, like, so like last week, they had a scrimmage, and I had not seen them yet because I'm helping with Austin's team, and their season starts earlier and blah blah blah. And Carson's 17, he's 12, right?
Yep.
So, I finally got an opportunity to go to their scrimmage, and they. He's another coach for Moeller over there, so it's like a lot. When you're around the game long enough, you know a lot of people, right?
Yep.
And so like Carson knows these guys too, so like I'm trying to tell him, like, don't be nervous, like challenge these guys, but you'll be fine. You'll be fine. You're old enough. You've pitched against, as long as you play with me, you've been one of the best, if not the best pitcher. Like you've faced these guys before.
Yeah.
And so
hold that thought.
Yeah.
So I think it's neat. Like as kids growing up, we competed in cul-de-sacs, in driveways, in backyards, and we competed against our best friends in the world to win.
Yeah.
Like it got
isn't that funny?
very emotional.
You hold that thought because that's very good that you said that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's amazing to me, and I've talked about this a lot with every group that I've coached, that the moment that you put on a uniform, whether it's West Claremont, Coleraine, whatever uniform it is, how that mindset changes.
Yeah.
And it becomes like, I am such a technical person that I can't possibly walk and chew gum at the same time. Or like you get a pop-up that comes and it lands in between two people. And you ask them, like, if you were in the backyard playing with your buddies and you were playing wiffle ball or you're playing whatever.
You're going all out and you want a heroic ESPN play.
What changes the moment that you put those pants and that jersey on?
Man, I don't. Coming up, and it's like when we competed against each other. So like we talk and we highlight a lot of times where we would have fun on a trampoline and wrestling, and there were times where like we'd kind of get annoyed with each other because like we'd hurt. Like I'm pissed off at Tom. I'm pissed off at Quentin. And we played basketball in Heiss's backyard, and
bloody.
There were hard fouls.
Yeah.
Like somebody because we were.
But you know what we did back then? We lowered the rim. We had our 8-foot under 6-foot league.
People would undercut me and like Lee's defense. He was a hand guy, so he's constantly hitting.
Right,
It's
but
like
Lee was short, and you were pretty athletic.
And
you were really athletic.
And it would like it would get on your nerves. So it's like I would start to go body to body, and it's like we'd get pissed off at each other, and then we would compete to win against our best friends in the world. And I think there's something in that. If you just keep that in its own capsule and then let that come out into competition, into a Coleraine versus West Claremont, Coleraine versus Moeller or CHCA.
Doesn't matter.
I've competed with the person I love most, and I wanted to punch him in the face. You're nobody to me.
Right. Why?
I'm going to beat you worse than I'm going to beat my best friend, and I love that guy.
And you know what I used to do? Because like usually it's typically a lot more frequent early on in the season when your teams, and you're probably seeing it now, and I'm seeing it with this 12U group, like they get super tight and they don't want to take charge. They don't want to do what we just talked about. They don't want to go out there in the four letters that are the most important, regardless of whatever sport it is, are PLAY, and I will write that down for you.
Play on, play on.
PLAY.
No diggity, no doubt.
If you can't accomplish those 4 letters,
all right, it's an acronym. I'm assuming.
No, it actually
just
isn't.
Play.
Just play.
Just play.
There's not acronym.
Okay.
And it would be the same thing whether you were talking about Audrey and her percussion, right?
Grace. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Grace.
All right.
And it's Audrey's birthday. Grace is her birthday.
Yes.
It's no different. Like, if she went out there and was just constantly trying to hit one note and constantly just like so worried about like this one specific spot on it, but she gets home and she's up there and she's playing like Louis Anderson. Right? Louis Anderson?
Sure.
I think he was the big comedian.
Yeah.
Who's the... I don't know.
Alexa,
play Louis Anderson. We'll find out.
Music by Louis Anderson isn't included with Prime, but is available with Amazon Music Unlimited Family Plan, which
Okay.
lets you play over 90 million songs on up to 6 accounts across multiple
Wasn't he the
devices.
trumpet guy?
It's
Louis Anderson?
$14.99.
Louis Anderson.
Cancel anytime. Terms in the Alexa app.
No. Yeah,
He's the comedian.
He's a comedian.
Dang it. Who was the...
The music you requested is available with Amazon Music Unlimited
I don't know.
Plan, which lets you play no
Alexa,
matter
stop.
Of rock and roll
station
drummer.
for you based on Louis Anderson on
Alexa,
Amazon
stop.
I want to know that guy's name now.
I don't know.
I
So go on, play, just play. Which is funny.
Funny.
I pulled the because Paige. I don't even know my own kids' names. Thanks. Grace and I were talking last night about exactly that topic of just play. Like you're in these moments because she's never competed live in a WGI arena, which is the highest level that is what everybody funnels towards to compete in that field, right? And they're white knuckling, they're nervous, and it's like just play. And it's easier said than done because we've all had that moment where you prepare for something and then that moment's here. It's like, oh, it's real, right? And it's good. So it's just, we were talking about form and technique and how to do things right. And there's certain notes that are with her quick twitch muscle and her hand size, it's harder for her to get. So she kind of has to adapt to situations. And it's like, at the end of the day, just play. And there's two theories of, do something mechanically for the right form, and it's like, wait, no, stop, start over. Wait, no, stop, start over. Wait, no, stop, start over, until you get this one part of your technique down perfect, right? Wait, no, and then there's the other mindset of like, you didn't do it right, but keep going. You didn't do it right, keep going, and you work through the mistake time and time again. That's not what I'm looking for, but don't stop. You field a ball incorrectly, you boot a ball. Do not stop. We're not going to stop and start over there. You still have to stick with the play, get the ball, throw it over. Or I hit a wrong note. Oh, no, I heard that. You can't stop and go back. The show must go on. It's like, So play through mistakes and then stop and start over and go through them. Like, don't make the mistake.
Yeah.
So it's two mindsets, and I like to just play through. I like to play through mistakes. I'm not a big fan of wait, no, stop, let's do it again. Wait, no, stop, let's do it again. Wait, no, I don't like.
But when you're talking about playing and you're talking about like go back, do it again, go back, do it again, when you're running a practice, and like I am 100% behind that, because I want, like, let the play play out. Okay, then we'll go back and do it again. So it's a mix, right? So the issue I have with that is this, and it's not my issue. It's more so like I can teach that, and I can teach to that. It's the fact that how many times, and maybe it's the younger ages, but does something happen, and you can take it as a game, you can take it as a situation, whatever, where it's like, oh man, I screwed up, and they pick the ball up, and they're like, they throw it back to the coach who's hitting fungos.
Yep.
But it's like you're going through situations, or like in the game, like, oh man, I dropped the ball. Put my head down and get the ball back to the pit. Meanwhile, the guy that was on first is now at third because they put their head down in the play. They didn't realize the play, like their world was all centered around the one mistake that they made. They didn't realize that the world is much larger than that. The play was still going on around them.
Oh yes.
And
yes,
so like
yes,
it's a really difficult thing.
Such is life.
Such is life, and like. So it's a little odd this year because there's 3-4 guys that are helping with Austin's team that joined our organization. So it's a mix of a couple of teams and some other folks that have come around. And so us as coaches, we are, and I feel like we're doing a pretty good job at it. We are trying to figure out each other because before this we really didn't know each other.
Right.
And so like we're trying to figure out like, hey, like what do you think? What do you think? It's a lot of like, what do you think? What do you think? And the kids are like, they don't know what they don't know, so like they're giving maximum effort, but in the same sense they're forgetting about this.
Yeah.
And then they make that mistake because they're worried about what we are going to say, and they don't really know us all that well either. Which for the most part we're pretty laid back in regards to letting them play it out until they decide not to play it out.
Yes.
That makes sense. I kind of did a full circle there, but
yes.
Like, the lesson there is 4
Play.
letters. Play. If you can't do that the same way that you would do it with your buddies, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, hockey, uh, synchronized swimming, percussion music, if you can't play the same way that you would play in a more intimate environment, you're never going to be successful at it.
No, I agree. Yes, 100%.
Because the reason that you loved it in the first place was you loved it in the first place because you loved it in that intimate environment.
Yep.
And I'll take football. Like same sense, it was like,
Yeah, and I think that's where parents are interjecting themselves in now. The parents are involved. Parents aren't involved in the backyard. Parents are involved when you're on the field. So it's like this message to all the parents out there: shut up.
shut up.
Shut up. Like, let your kid play in the backyard / on the field of play the same way you played in the backyard, or the way you wanted to be in the field of play. You just wanted to play. So let your kid play. It's that simple. I don't think there's anything more to it than that.
There's really not. And
You made a lifetime worth of mistakes to correct that kid who hasn't made those same mistakes yet, and you're trying to prevent them from making mistakes, and that's natural. But the only reason you are who you are is because you made those mistakes. Let the kid make the mistake. Yeah, I had a girl come up to me after a game. She was a little discouraged. She moved to tears, and I've learned that girls, when they cry, they're just pissed. They're not upset or mood. They're just mad. That's the way a lot of girls express their anger, is through tears, and it's okay. Guys are different. We are different, like it or not. I pulled her up to the front of the bus, and we just talked for a minute, and it was just like, what's going through your head? You know, where are you at? Like, I understand you're angry. What brought you here? What can you do? And it was similar to this conversation of, like, just get back and play. Everything's okay. Just get back to playing the game, and quit adding these pressures onto you, because the more you fail, the harder you try. The harder you try, the more you fail. It's such a...
I don't know if you can do this in a school setting. This is kind of, we've kind of went, I don't want to say left, we kind of went way right, which has been awesome. This is where I was going with that. Like, so coaching these younger guys, what I used to do was, when you get frustrated and you play that first tournament, or you play that first couple of games, and you see that, where it's like just that stiffness, where it's like, you know, pop-up goes up to the second baseman, and she or he is going back, and, like, they fully expect the right fielder to call them off, and they let it drop.
Yep.
Right? And you look at it, and you're like, man, just play. So very next practice, I brought a wiffle ball and a wiffle bat, and I pinned them up against each other and split them up.
Yep.
And they would play. The difference in what they did, in that we might have had 12 kids on the team, the difference in what they did when it was 6-on-6, in the way that they play. I mean, you got people that you didn't think were even that athletic to begin with as a coach. They're diving all over the grass to not let the ball hit the ground.
Did you ever play fence ball in Heiss's backyard?
Probably.
Where if you hit the fence on a line drive, it's a home run. If you hit it over the fence, it's an out.
That's yeah, I like that.
We used to play all the time in his backyard. That was kind of a Struble Elementary. Everybody in that. One hop the fence was a double. If it anything hit, if it wasn't fielded cleanly, it was a base hit. So we had the rules.
Yeah. Because you kept that rule because you didn't want to climb the fence to get the ball.
100%. And as we got better, the rules changed and they evolved. And if you hit it over the fence,
You're
out of the inning.
Was there a privacy fence?
Not at that time. It was like that little 4-foot metal fence.
So we did the same thing. We played in Myber's backyard.
Yeah.
It was me, Ken, Mark, Jay, Paul Martini, and we played, and there was no holds barred, but there was a privacy fence.
Okay.
And, like, it really sucked to, like, quit the game,
Yes.
walk out to the front.
You hit it over the fence, it's freaking out.
Yeah.
Because we're tired of going in the ball, learn to hit a line drive.
Yep.
So we all, that's just what we played in Heiss's backyard for hours on days, and just, that was just the game, in baseball season. Same thing you did. Said, girls, let's go inside the field house. And we got height. And I was like, I'm going to bring in tape and I'm going to change the elevations of some of this stuff. And we're going to play a game called fence ball. And they're playing. And my two assistant coaches were like, these 45 minutes is the most competitive I've seen these girls all year. And we've been working together since November with like in the weight room and then on the field and tryouts. She's like, I haven't seen any girl out here this competitive all year. And it's like, isn't that funny?
So this fall with our 18U guys, did that. Like we had a Sunday where it was a week. It was like, well, let's inter squad. I got 19 kids. We got plenty. Let's inter squad. Mix them up. Try to, as a coach, you kind of know, like, okay, I got a couple shortstops. You go on this team. You go on this team. Blah 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 blah. I'm hoping that particular attitude that they took during that is the same attitude that crosses over when we actually hit the field. Because it was, I got into it. Like, I was out there. Like, we were short a couple of guys, whatever. So me and another coach of mine, like, we were like, well, we feel like we're still young enough to do it. And so we got out there and played, and it was competitive. And, it's like, nobody wanted to, like, why when you put the actual uniform on and it's actual game day, does everything that you've ever done in your entire life just completely go away?
Because you're being coached. That's a good question. That's something to meditate on and ponder on.
There's something to overcoach. Have you ever taken Paige to batting practice? Just you and her, you go to a field or whatever, and you're throwing to her, and she's lighting it up.
Mm-hmm.
And you ever got to the point where it's like, man, I haven't said anything. They're lighting it up. I feel like I need to say something.
Yes.
Like, well, you should be, it's like that perfection. It's like, well, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. And it's like, that's a good round, but like, I'm 100% guilty of that. Like, and even with some of, like, the team, like, I'll be sitting there working, like, man, like, okay, he's hitting the ball pretty well, but you should be doing, like, no, I'm going to back out. Like, you're hitting the ball well. Really, all that really matters is a results-driven business.
Yep.
And
you're not going to hit every ball perfectly square.
Nope.
And that's where coaches overcoach, is you'll hit 3 in a row, and then they miss one, and it pops up, and it's like, here's what you did wrong.
Right.
Shut up, coach. Like, play. Not going to hit them all square.
Correct.
Here's the next one. Boom, boom, boom.
That's what drives me crazy.
You've hit 5 pop-ups in a row. Hold on. Step out of the box. You're thinking about something that you shouldn't be thinking about. You're overcompensating. Just step out of the box. You good? Boom, you did it again. Boom, you did it again. Hold on. What are we doing? So it takes, like, for me to step in and correct, it takes, like, hold on. You stepped out like there's something wrong. But it's like hit, miss, hit, miss, hit, miss. Do you feel anything you're doing different? No. I didn't like that answer. Well, try to feel something different. Because no coach can coach feeling.
So, like, there's a couple of ways to approach when we're inside in the winter. Like, I coach to the drill. It's not a results driven thing.
Right.
Win the drill. You got a guy or girl soft tossing into a net. You hit the ball. Where's that ball going to go?
In the net.
Into the net. How many home runs or singles or doubles are you going to hit into that net? 0. So please tell me why every time you hit the ball, your head goes and looks someplace else. Get back. You're on a tee. You're facing soft toss. Be a robot. This is what I'm doing, and I'm just building. Whether it's muscle memory, whether it's consistency, I'm learning to have a consistent swing. And the reason that we do that in the wintertime, and the reason that we do that when we're on a tee, or even when we're taking batting practice, or even when we're doing soft toss or anything like that, is to give you that consistent swing. So the moment that you're facing one of your peers across from you, you do not think about what Quentin said or what I said or anything like that. Your job at that point, and Tony Perez said it best, see the ball, hit the ball. Everything else takes over from that point. And I have a strong belief in that. You could go A to Z on how and why and teach different ways to get to that particular point. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you one is better than the other, one is right, one is wrong. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when that particular person that you are coaching or if you are playing, if you are sitting there thinking about pulling your head as that pitcher is coming set and throwing 85 to 90 miles an hour, you have already that kid is already thinking when he's done something, typically like, oh man, pull my head on that, or oh I'm late, or oh I'm this. Like me telling him like, hey man, you got to swing earlier, or hey man, like you're pulling your head, like what are you looking like? At that moment in time, I am not helping that kid one bit if I tell him to, hey, keep your head in there, hey, watch the ball, hey, do this. Yeah. I'm not helping him because at that point he's thinking so much about that. No, see ball, hit ball.
That's it.
It's plain. It cannot be any more plain than that.
No, and I don't think that's taught from a lot of coaches. And
it's not.
And it's so the other thing that Grace and I, because this is a great conversation, and it's a Bruce Lee quote, and I love it, but it says, technique is a trap and form is a prison. And if you work so much on technique, you're handcuffing yourself. So it's like, this is my technique on hitting a ball off a tee. Okay, what do you do when you see a curveball? What do you see when you see an off-speed pitch? So through your technique, you've become a robot. Mm-hmm. See ball, hit ball. If it's, and when Paige first hybrided over into, not hybrided, she went straight from a right-handed hitter to a left-handed slapper, and it's, what do we do on this pitch? What do we do on that pitch? And it's like, whoa, when we really got into slapping, it's like, there are different things you have to do with the ball.
I'm going to write that down.
Because you're moving, and it's.
Because that to me is.
In this slot, here's where you want your hands. Over here's where, so it's like, it's a complete different technique.
But that says a lot about her.
Yes,
and that's, I didn't know that. Because that's amazing to me. And it says a lot about her and her athleticism and her brilliance on the fact that she can play at the level that she's playing at.
Yeah. We had one hit, we just called it elbows. Like when you're in your stance and you just let your elbows trade places. Or actually you replace the left elbow. So it's boom. If you do that really quick, it puts the bat out at an angle. And it's like on an inside pitch, just put this elbow where this elbow is. Just swap places. And it puts that at an angle, and it rips. So it's like, so she would work on just that technique, right? Low and away. So it's like, there is no technique to hitting. There is see ball, hit ball, and then if you work on a form, you're in a prison now because you're like, I've got perfect form. Okay, what happens if something goes wrong?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking when you're using a tee, and I've heard a lot of people talk about, like, they hate the tee, they hate this. I like the tee personally.
I love the tee.
But I like the tee in the wintertime. One, it's a time filler. Two, I like a consistent swing.
Yes.
But also in the same spot, like you said, the pitcher's not throwing that ball in the same spot every time, right?
Correct.
So there's another drill that I use, because the big thing now, like... there's a lot of schools of thought, and there's a lot of language. It's like a playbook, right? Like it's like everybody's trying to get to the one spot, but in the same sense, they're using different language to get there.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, you could, gosh, man, this could go on.
We could
forever.
go. Great. So,
but I'll try to break it down, and then we'll move on because I do think like there is a time that we should do this. We should do a show. Or at least a large portion of the show just on the differences would be great between softball and baseball, and I don't know them.
Right.
So you would explain to me, and I would explain to you, and we'd figure out if there's any place that meets in the middle.
Right.
But coaching wise, I think we are on the same page.
Same page, man. Free your head. I always tell everything up here, just turn it off.
Yeah, yeah, and so, like, gosh, man, like you're talking. I've heard schools of thought like they don't like the tee, so it's a lot of live pitching, which I understand that. You know, there's different.
What Coach Nick Ayer say that you love so much? You got to reprogram them.
Yep.
Go ahead.
It is
live
it
tee.
is.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, there's a lot of that, and the mistakes that they're making today aren't going to be the same mistakes that they're making tomorrow. Mm-mm. You know, so I teach, and so like, I learned a lot from Chris Newton, who's the AD Anderson. I learned a lot from my dad, who learned a lot from another friend of ours. And then when I got to college, it was a whole different level, which I'm sure you'll understand more when she's actually done.
Yes.
And the same hitting coach that I had in college was Ken Griffey Jr.'s hitting coach, and he was the best. He was the best. He was a little brash, but he was the best, and he broke it down so I can understand.
That's it. I think
And the older that I got, the more I've understood it, and he broke it down into 3 simple things, and I think this would cross over ball as well. So this is what I teach to when I'm teaching hitting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you have balance. And then plane is simple. It's what plane of the ball are you hitting? Are you hitting it in the middle or are you hitting it at the bottom?
Okay.
And if you can figure out those 3 things, like there's going to be times during a game a guy's throwing pretty hard. Your time is going to be off. Do your homework in your next at bat so that you can get a little bit better. Whether we talked about my at bat versus Zach Day, strike out 2 times, fouled a couple off the second time, third time I grounded out to him. Wasn't my best at bat ever.
Right.
But for me, breaking it down from a 42, soon to be 43-year-old perspective, that third at bat was a win because he was dominating me, right? Easier said than done. It sucked in the moment. Plain. There's a lot of times where I'm like, man, I'm really struggling, and I would just miss a ball, and I hit a ball freaking 2,000 feet up in the air because I just missed it.
Yeah.
And I knew the next at bat was going to be the one because I was balanced. My timing was on. I just missed the ball.
Yep. Yes.
And
yes.
like people get frustrated with pop-ups, and it's frustrating. But there's a lot of times that you can take that, like I did, and go, "Oh man, I'm really close. Like this next one's going to be it." And then you go on a streak to where it's like you just don't get out.
Yep.
No matter how hard you hit the ball, doesn't matter about your balance, doesn't matter about your timing, doesn't matter your playing. Everything just seems to work.
Yep.
Baseball, softball, I'm sure it's the same way. It's a funny sport.
Yep.
It's a really funny sport.
Yes.
But that right there is what I teach to. But I think when he said that to me, it was really basic. Like that makes a lot of sense. I've been doing all these drills to do all these different things, but if I just focus on these 3 things right here, and if I got 2 out of the 3, I may not succeed all the time, but still pretty good.
Yep.
Right? And I love watching like old football. Bad pitches. You said, like, there's no plan. There's, like, Mike Tyson said it. Your plan goes out the window and you get punched in the mouth. There ain't no pitcher that's trying to throw to your barrel.
No. Yeah, I when they take a pitch down the heart, I'm like, come on, you got to get better. My biggest frustration is swinging at bad pitches. Like, stop swinging at trash. I'd say it 100. I'm gonna carry a clicker around to practice for girls chasing high pitches or just.
I've never seen a softball curveball.
Oh,
ever.
Yeah, they're nasty.
I believe it. I've never seen one.
Right.
But this is what I tell my guys in regards to, because I was an aggressive hitter. My senior year of college, like I wasn't fast, but I was a good contact hitter, and I was a pretty good hitter. Like, it didn't matter if I was batting leadoff or whatever. That first thought in my mind is I'm looking for one pitch, my first at bat. If it's the first pitch, and it looks good,
smoking it,
I'm going to hit it. Because I'm not a leadoff hitter. I'm just a hitter.
Right.
That's it.
You're more than that, Tom. You're more than just a hitter.
The best, like, the thing that I tell my guys, the best way, if a guy, especially if a kid's got a nasty curveball or something, the best way to avoid it, don't see it. Don't see it. And then, fine, you get the 2 strikes, guess what? You might see it.
Yeah.
You're going to be more prepared for it when you see it. But if I can avoid it by getting a decent pitch early in the count, that's the one I'm going to hit. It drove me nuts. We were at a scrimmage at Carson's team. I'm like, watching, and I've got a bunch of kids that are on our team that are, I'm like, man, we are taking way too many pitches.
Yep.
Way too many. Like, put the daggone thing in play. And again, there's different schools of thought. A lot of that's changed. But if you can use it,
Yeah, our minds are in what we're currently doing. Carson playing,
good
coaching, like
good
that's
tools.
where our mind is. So
Yeah,
that's going to come out.
And I never really said it, like I'm getting goosebumps already because the game starts at 5 and we're 4 hours and 16 minutes away. Like, I'm not. I know what he's capable of. It's the letting go.
Yeah.
Right, because I'm sitting on the sidelines and I'm like, he was pitching against Moeller again. And that's where I started. Number 3 team in the state. He comes out and, like I said, his pitching instructor's over there, and I've got the radar on him, and he's gained probably 5 or 6 miles per hour since sending this guy. So he throws pretty hard.
Nice.
And guys taught him a lot. It's been tremendous. But I'm just noticing something different, right? And comes out first inning, very, very second pitch of the first guy. Wind's blowing fit. Now, to his credit, or whose credit, the kid made a good swing on the ball. So my left fielder is Colerain's left fielder, and he's a damn good left fielder. And ball's hit up, wind's blowing out, and ends up one hop in the fence. On a regular day, wind blowing 10 miles an hour, this guy catches that ball.
Right.
But guy put good wood on it, got himself a double, fine.
Right.
So the next guy, boom, 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 strike 3, struck him out. I'm like, all right. Then he's facing a kid that's committed to Ohio State. This pitch he threw was right here. And I'm watching from the first base sideline. I see it. It's right here. Not out over the middle of the plate. Not outside. Not down. High and tight. It didn't matter how hard that wind was blowing. This son of a bitch went freaking 350, 380 feet on a line out. I'm like, oh, well, Dom's not catching that ball. And I'm like, all right, hey, it is what it is. You made a good pitch. That guy hit it. Tip your hat. Move on. Ended up getting the next 2 guys out. And this is these are really good hitters. Like, you're going to lose. There's going to be battles that you're going to lose.
Yeah. I guess to compare, I've been pitching for slow pitch for a long time. You see a certain guy, and you just throw that ball a foot off the plate outside just as a waste pitch.
Tink!
And he pulls it 400 foot down.
Yeah.
It's like, you just look around, and it's just like, that was a foot off the plate.
Why did you even swing at that?
What? So, yeah, that just made me think of that. Like, high and inside, it's a ball. Take it. No.
But
he just hit a ball, not a strike, a ball.
What I looked at it this way, I was like, okay. I mean, that is what it is, right? How are you going to bounce back?
Yes.
Right? And so the next 2, he got out. And then the next inning, he kind of did the same thing. He didn't really tattoo him. He didn't have a whole lot of help, whatever. They're going to be some good players. So he's going to face them today. And I said, you need to take them exactly like you take Mueller. But here's the thing you need to remember. Hitters are stupid. Pitchers need to be in that 7.
That's an interesting perspective.
Is it wrong? Good hitters will get themselves out 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I always reverse the pressure too. You don't have to hit; they've got to get you out.
Yeah, on the flip side, that's true.
Right? They've got to get you out. Like, so yeah, I think it's whoever you're talking to.
Perspective,
in that context.
right?
Yeah, it's a perspective. Like, listen, they can walk you. They can and so Kevin Wilson played at UC, played with Heiss. He's got a book out, #Good Batting. I love it. And one of the things that he mentioned is have your hitter stand in the batter's box to an empty field. You've got in a baseball field, you have an acre of land to hit a ball. Like, so the concept of hitting, it's not hard. Like, you got an acre of land to put a ball. put it out there somewhere. It's okay. Yes, once you add players and you have a shortstop, a second baseman, left, that's when the hitter starts to think, and that's when they, again, that coaching advice. Oh, you did that. It's like, oh no, you got a first baseman or a second baseman there, and it's just like, ignore that and step in the batter's box with an empty field in your mind and hit the ball, put it in play. They have to get you out. Hitting's easy, right? Get to contact, put it in play, quit thinking about the position of the players, quit thinking about the pitches, quit thinking, just play. See the ball, hit the ball. Do those things. They've got to get you out. Just put the ball in play. Quit thinking about anything beyond that. Mm-hmm. And it's so that's my psyche on a hitter.
Well, even from a pitching perspective, you can only control what you control.
Yes.
So if you make a good pitch and that guy puts it in play, and what's behind you doesn't work out the way you have it, right, and that happens. You have to then flip that switch and go right back to where you were before. That slate has to be clean, and you got to say, okay, I made a good pitch, and you have to just live on that.
Yeah.
You can't guarantee the outs, and the pitchers that get in the most trouble are the ones that are like, I feel like I have to strike this guy out.
Yes.
Because I don't. So you, no matter what happens behind you, you have to have enough faith. And I love talking about faith. I love talking about, and not faith, kind of from a biblical perspective, but trust maybe is a better word.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have enough trust and faith. It is the most individualistic team sport there is on the planet.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that.
Because it is
well said.
It is the pitcher versus the hitter. It is the ball versus the fielder, so on and so forth. Everything is individual. The attitude is team.
Yep.
But everything is individual.
And collectively, you need each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's it. That's why I still believe it's the greatest game on the planet. Just in baseball, softball. I'm hooking those two in together. Right. I just have never experienced the softball world the way that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I feel like there's so many similarities there, especially when you're talking fast pitch.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You know that they run parallel.
You're at the mercy of someone else to do well for you to be successful.
Correct.
Such is life.
Such is life. Anyway,
so I got a hard out at like 105-ish. So
all right, so we got 15 minutes to get through and a whole half page of stuff. So it's Carson's first varsity start today. I got a good feeling. I think he's going to kill it. We'll find out. I'll give you a full report next week. He's definitely prepared. So, Ukraine. Touch on this quickly. This week, Biden had several things that he said that are very questionable. Not questionable from, like, he almost has put himself, this is a bad analogy, but I'll say it from a fan's perspective, to where he has said some things that probably we have thought, but probably the leader of the free world shouldn't say publicly, especially when you said things different a year and a half ago. So I'll start with the thought of, we talked about the oil. That apparently isn't changing. He's stubborn enough to just leave that alone. On the flip side, he talked about, I remember specifically hearing it, that they were going to do sanctions on Putin and on Russia to deter him, which then he came out and said, I knew the whole time, I knew sanctions aren't going to be a deterrent. I never said that.
Alexa, play Scorpion, Winds of Change.
Wind of Change isn't included in Prime, but is available with Amazon Music Unlimited Family Plan, which lets you play
You serious?
90 million
Scorpions?
songs on
Winds of
Netflix
Change?
Apparently they
across
changed.
multiple devices.
Watch this. Alexa, play my Scorpions channel.
Here's a station for you based on
I don't think. I've never heard this beginning of Winds of Change.
Okay.
So, he said it wasn't going. That he said he didn't say it wasn't going to be a deterrent, but then they report that like that he's using this as a deterrent. Well, the invasion happened, so obviously that didn't work, so now we're going to change our way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Then he comes out and says Putin he was hesitant to say it, but he committed war crimes. But then he came out and said, yes, I believe he's a war criminal, which further infuriates anything that was going on, which puts innocent people in danger. On top of that, this week, he's in Poland. He said Putin needs to go, which are all probably thoughts that we've all kind of had.
Right.
But as the leader of the free world, people read into that and they say he's asking for regime change. And you made a comment before the show about the differences in regards to
What happens on our own soil?
correct.
When a political party says this guy needs to go and that guy needs to go, it's we're talking other countries, and people get up in arms about a regime change. But here on this own soil, when somebody says, and it's both ways, which is what's great about it, because both sides are wrong and both sides are right. Trump needs to go. Well, hold on. This is our country. Be careful saying those types of things about our country. You cannot cheer for your leader, and we've talked about it. Mm-hmm. And now we hear it again. Biden needs to go. Like, it just stop. Like, why is it such a big deal? And I don't understand why it's a big deal and the difference. I don't follow it closely enough to why it's acceptable for us on our own soil to say those types of things. But when someone from our soil says it about someone else's soil, it's like, oh no, he shouldn't have said that. I mean, he's crossed the line there. Why didn't he cross the line when he said it here in this country? Why isn't it not wrong when Trump says it in this country, or Biden said, or Obama, or anyone says that the leadership needs to go? Like, what's the difference?
It's a direct hypocrisy, and it's on both fronts.
100%.
So, but speaking of level of hypocrisy, speaking of winds of change, speaking of certain things kind of taking place, Will Smith walked up onto stage and smacked Chris Rock in the mouth 30 seconds, if not less than that, after laughing at the exact same joke that
Chris Rock. I would have had no clue on the planet that the Oscars were that night. None. That's how closely I follow the celebrity world. I don't care about any of them. Shut up and dribble. Shut up and act. I'm on board with that.
So you asked earlier about like family things and stuff that like kind of that are in house that people get, right? So like Nicole and I for years, we're not huge Oscar buffs. We're like we kind of like the Oscar or award show pre-shows.
Yeah.
Because we're not entirely in tune with like whether it's pop culture or whatever. But like as they're doing the pre-shows, like different people walk up.
Yeah.
And like our game is like you get a point if you can name the person before they say their name or whatever.
That's a fun game.
So it's like it'd be like Charlie Sheen. There's Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Okay, I get a point, right? Now if the announcer says, "Hey, we're bringing up Charlie Sheen," and you're like, "I don't know who that guy is," and they go, "Hey, it's Charlie Sheen." Oh, it's Charlie Sheen. You don't get a point for that.
Right.
And so like we watched the pre-show. We kind of watched the first 15 minutes until the whole gay, not gay, Florida gay, whatever thing. Like
Which is
like they came up and I was like, can we just? I just want the world to go back to where it was like, can we just make fun of people? Can we just do things and do what you're supposed to do?
Right.
Like without everybody being offended.
Yes.
And they brought up the whole gay thing. I'm like, all right, well, that's enough for me. And it was nothing to do with gay people. That wasn't my feeling. It was just
got
like
political.
Like now all of a sudden we're pushing everything into my face. I want to be entertained. I'm turning on the Oscars, which have the best entertainers in the world, to be entertained. I don't need a political statement. I get it. You have a soapbox and you can use it. Fine. You know what? Sorry, you're going to lose a viewer if you're talking about me. So I was like you. I'm on Twitter. Like, I'm sitting there. As the night goes on, I'm watching an entertaining show.
I saw it.
Which
I saw a
happened
tweet
to
that
be
said,
wrestling. Entertaining. I know it's not real. I know this. I know that.
Yes.
It's entertaining. I'm being entertained, and at the same time I'm on my phone.
I saw a tweet that said, "Did Will Smith really just slap Chris Rock?" And I thought it was on wrestling. I thought they guest starred on wrestling, and I was like, "Huh, cool." And I'm scrolling, and I see it, and I'm like, "Whoa!" And I see it, and obviously yesterday was just flooded with everything. So even if you
Did the same exact
loosely
thing.
follow or don't follow, you're still going to, by default, if you get on social media, which is hilarious. And then there's, after the show, we started the show off getting jiggy with it, so he's dancing in this crowd of people. They're doing just getting jiggy with it, and it's like, well, it looks like he's moved on. He doesn't care about the embarrassment or the shame of what he just did. And it's like, why does anybody else care if he doesn't care? And Chris Rock, I guess, and I don't know enough to pick a side, but loosely I'm going to go on the Chris Rock side, and the integrity that he had to not respond.
Not do anything.
You know, you hear him say, man, I could go, and he stopped himself, he shut himself up, he handled himself with as much class as you could in that situation. I think the joke was taken out of context. Was it staged? Was it set up for people to pay attention to Hollywood? I wouldn't die on the hill that would oppose that. I would I would be entertained enough to say there's probably some moving parts that nobody likes us anymore in this country. We're disruptive, we're annoying, we're obnoxious, we're crybaby, spoiled, rich people. Let's do something to get attention. Hey, Geraldo Rivera had a fight on his show once, and that got a ton of people to pay attention. Let's do that.
Yeah.
You know, did that go on in the back? I don't know. I did listen to one of Will Smith's his speech when he won the award, and it's not to dismiss, not to justify it or explain it off, but like some of the stuff that he was saying in his last role when he Venus and Serena's dad. I watched that show, King. What is it? It was pretty good. I enjoyed watching it. It was a lot of good stuff. And when I got done watching, I said, I bet Serena and Venus's dad had a lot to say about how that was written, because like I bet he was harder on them than what it portrayed. But yeah, he in his Will Smith acceptance speech, he was like, you know, I had to play this role where I was a protector of these kids. I had to protect this, I had to protect that. And it's like, if his character on screen carried over into real life, that he needed to play the part of who he was in the movie, so he thought it was acceptable to go up and slap.
Yeah, wasn't.
And like, I don't know if reading in too deep to it too much, but you know, sometimes you hear people like Hollywood celebrities, actors specifically, they go off the deep end because they get so engulfed in a character that it affects their life. You know, if Will Smith is there in life to where he's just not all right in the head anymore.
Heath Ledger.
Yes.
When he played Joker, was the same way.
Yes. Like, he went off the deep end. And who, he's got the, Cliff Pallet, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yep.
He went off. Val Kilmer went off. Like, a lot of these guys, they go off the deep end because they get so engulfed with a character. And it's like, I get that.
Well,
I don't, but I do.
we are out of time. We didn't get to our bracket. It's here. We'll cover it next week. There's plenty of other stuff to cover next week. We got off on a tangent on several different things. Sorry about the video quality. Hopefully check our podcast out. It'll be tremendous. If it doesn't work, we'll see you guys next week either way. But it's been fun. We are out.